one request is like, we want the cloak and the staff of Gladstone. Yeah. And it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Hopkins is like, yes, his famous cloak and staff, which are just normal. We just like curiosities and archaeology.
We just want to show it. We just want to put it in a display case.
There's like come on. There's a little charm on the staff that wards off mosquitoes. But that's all.
Yeah. When you touch it and you feel your spine melting, that's the bug zapper.
Welcome back to Nostalgia Club. Today, we are talking about a little book called The Golem's Eye, book number 2 in the Bartimaeus Sequence. The last time we talked about this book series was like 57 episodes ago. You can listen to our first book on the Bartimaeus Sequence, The Amulet of Samarkand, back in season 1 of our feed.
Episode 14.
Mm-hmm.
February 8th, 2023.
I was like, what was the year? Then I was like, I don't want to know the year. That's going to be like really shocking.
This is truly the longest amount of time between episodes about the same property that we've ever done.
Which is truly a shame. But shout out to the people who demanded a second episode, because we did really want to keep reading these books after we recorded that episode. But at the time, I think in season 2, we already had like things that we wanted to cover, and then it just kind of like fell to the wayside. But back by popular demand.
Yes.
Bartimaeus.
And speaking of us,
who are we?
Who are we? I'm Michael. And who are you?
I'm Gino. And who are you?
Well, it's a bad idea to give away your name.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
You now have power over both
already.
of us.
I'm Victoria.
So this is a little interesting for me because I think it's been a while since we've actually covered property of some kind where like I've had the context for it.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The both of you distinctly have not. It's either been one or both of you have the context and then I don't, or it's like a listener emailed us and they have the context and then none of us do. But this is the first time I think in a long time that I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here with my little cask of fine-aged nostalgia. And then you two are the inductees.
Yay!
And I'm pouring you each a glass.
And we're happy to be here.
Thrilled.
Yeah.
That sounded so fake.
That's okay. If it sounded fake, it would only make you just like the magicians of the British Empire.
Oh, they're so easily hateable. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's true.
So first things first, because if this is anything like our first Bartimaeus episode, it's going to be a long plot summary with various digressions throughout.
Yeah, that's what we've decided. Happens. This one, we're just going to talk about the book as we describe it to you.
Yeah. But first things first, as always, or mostly always, vibes. I get to ask you both, how are your vibes with this book?
I had such a good time reading this book that I actually was like a little bit mad at our past selves for not reading it sooner.
Wow.
Because I remembered when we read the first one, I really liked it. And I distinctly, because I actually went back and re-listened to that episode in preparation for this one, I specifically said that the first book had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. And then we didn't read the second book, which is just too bad. But I loved the second book so much. It was different from the first one for sure, but had all the same elements that I really enjoyed from the first one. Like Bartimaeus is just as snarky as ever. The world building is so fascinating, and in this one, we actually get even more of that. We get the commoners' side of view, which is the people who can't do magic, and what their life is like living in a society that is completely run by magicians. They hold all the positions of power, and the commoners just do the menial tasks. They are the labor force of this society. And Michael alluded to it in that first episode, some of what we might expect to see, but it was really great to get that perspective in this book. I actually also listened to half this book in audiobook format and half read it because I did I found this book for 50 cents at the library bookstore. Shout out to the library bookstore, which makes keeping books off my shelves really difficult. Because I look at it and I'm like, do I need this? No, but it is only 50 cents.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah.
You also got me my copy as well. Yeah.
These books are frequently at the library bookstore. The audiobook really drew me in, and it made me really recognize how visual this book is. There were some sequences where as I was hearing it, I could literally visualize what the characters were doing. And the author, Jonathan Stroud, does such an amazing job of describing characters and events and locations in a way that's really captivating, but it doesn't bog down the narration whatsoever. I think sometimes some authors might lean too heavily into the description, and then you're kind of like, okay, let's keep the action going. But he manages to insert just the right amount of visual description for you to understand what's happening while keeping the momentum of the scene going. I really liked it. And I for sure want us to do book 3 for next season, because I really want to read book 3 immediately.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nah, I think this is the last. I think
we're going to wait 57 more episodes before we do the third one.
There it is.
That would really suck.
57, a prime number.
I just enjoyed it so much, and I have so many thoughts about it, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts about it. And I've just been looking forward to talking about this book with you guys.
Delightful.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with the description, everything. This sounds like a trite compliment, but Jonathan Stroud has such a way with words.
Yeah.
I think it's just scintillating sometimes.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a good word.
Hooray! I only need several thousand more to... Okay, now, Jino.
Hello.
How were your vibes?
I think this book's pretty good. So if you haven't listened to our first Bartimaeus Sequence episode, and you haven't read the Bartimaeus Sequence trilogy, or at least the first 2 books.
It's now a sequence. It started out as a trilogy, but then he wrote a prequel book, so it's now just considered a sequence.
Yes. We're going to do heavy spoilers, obviously. But there's something so wonderful about reading a book where truly everyone's a little despicable.
Yeah.
Our, quote, main characters, especially in the first book, are bad people. And in the second book are worse people. With some small exceptions. But I find that kind of difficult sometimes, consuming a story where we're spending a lot of time with someone who you're not supposed to like. I find that difficult because when I read, enter stories, I want to escape. Also, I haven't listened to our first Bartimaeus trilogy episode.
I recommended that you both not, because I knew I went into some spoilers. Victoria dismissed my recommendation out of hand immediately.
Well, I wanted I wanted the detailed plot summary that we usually do on our episodes.
Fair enough.
I wanted the specifics of how the characters are portrayed. The Wikipedia just tells you the main plot points that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might be duplicating my critiques, I guess.
That's fine.
My compliments, if I copy myself. But I was able to get into this book, get back into the world of Bartimaeus really easily, because even though our main character, John Mandrake, is a piece of there's something really captivating about the world, and also his struggle to forward his own goals against so many other people who are even worse pieces of shit. And there's no other way to say it. They're just awful. They're just miserable.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really fun to watch miserable people take each other down.
Kind of a Game of Thrones situation.
There is something about that. There have been a couple shows this year that I've watched where it's just terrible people just causing drama and backstabbing each other. And there is something really satisfying about specifically watching bad rich people tear each other down.
Now,
unfortunately, in this book, they do also tear down not rich people.
They tear each other down, but they're tearing everyone down.
Yeah.
I will, so I'll add a caveat to that for myself personally.
Yeah.
Those shows where it's about a bunch of rich people being nasty to each other, I also find that difficult to watch.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But the Bartimaeus trilogy has Bartimaeus.
Yes.
Bartimaeus, for me, makes it work.
Yeah.
Because
he actively said, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, you're good, you're good.
Like, he's echoing your thoughts about how much these people suck.
He's in it, but he's also like an outside third party with so much perspective, and he just hates everyone. But the book is like, some chapters are narrated directly from his perspective, but even when it's like sort of third person omniscient, you can kind of tell it's all sort of Bartimaeus's narration. His snark kind of weaves its way through every sentence of the book. So it keeps the story fresh and engaging, and also lets you like take a step back with Bartimaeus and be like, these humans are ridiculous. It's wildly entertaining.
It's fascinating that you can have like this running narrative with all this complex world building and competing character goals, but it's also a riff track of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just color commentary the whole way through. Just little winks and like shoulder nudges for the reader.
I felt like this book really expanded on the world building in a way that I personally find really fascinating. It's alternate history. It's modern day. I think the book said in like 2003 or something.
Yeah, they have computers, even though there's like a lot of this that feels like it's rooted in some amalgam turn of the century 1800s to early 1900s situation.
Yeah, and I felt like I could feel that alternate universe aesthetic more in this book than in the first book. Because in the first book, we're sort of like trapped in London, and it's very much about like Nathaniel, John Mandrake growing up. So we're kind of like locked into his perspective. But now in this second book, we're expanding our perspectives and we're going abroad and we're learning more about history. That was cool for me personally. I think alternate history can be fun.
The refreshing thing about this particular alternate history is that the author really acknowledges history is not great. And just because we add magicians to the mix doesn't mean suddenly all the problems are fixed. In fact, the magicians make the problems worse.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of uh-oh.
Yeah, and he doesn't hesitate to have Bartimaeus comment on that. In particular, one that I noted was when they go to the Museum of London, he specifically mentions like lots of these artifacts, all stolen. And he even says like lots of people pay money to go and see the things that were stolen from their own country. And I was like, yep, glad we're acknowledging this. It just feels really refreshing.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's presenting this almost dystopian society as it's like, oh, this crazy fantasy. But then it like, yeah, like you said, like it's just pointing out things that happened in our real lives.
Yeah.
And going like, isn't this crazy and fantastically evil? Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Wow, it's
do that?
crazy that these magicians just stole these artifacts from everywhere. Oh, huh.
Yeah. It's also incredible that because we get these multiple perspectives, we can see the effects of the phrase like history is written by the victors, and also like historical suppression, I guess, from the different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like John Mandrake, like Nathaniel, is fully in the propaganda. He's like in it. He believes it 100%. But then we go to like Kitty, and Kitty's had a different perspective. Like she doesn't believe the propaganda, but she doesn't know what else to believe because that's all she knows. She doesn't have access to more information. And then Bartimaeus is like, I was there.
It's all bad.
Yeah.
Every time. It's all downhill all the time. That's a fascinating dynamic to these where, specifically as it relates to historical narratives, both in terms of as close as you can get to the raw truth through Bartimaeus, you know, as colored as it is through his like wry cynicism, and then all the way down to what the people in our story think of it. There is that like suppression of the truth. And yet even then, Bartimaeus himself directly acknowledges like, even though the magicians have access to like the true history, and even though they are consciously propagandizing and like curtailing it, they are also willfully of their own hubris and ignorance, believing that the constant like failure of empire throughout history is not probably going to apply to them, or that at the very least, it's far enough away to not actually be a big deal. And so it's like there's this willing complicity, this effect of putting blinders around a lot of these magicians, these people with a great deal of power, to the extent that even when they have all of the information, they're not really taking any heed of it.
It's depressingly relatable.
Yeah.
Oh, there are things in this book that, as I was reading, I was like, this feels like a headline. And some of them, you might even be surprised what I might say, because there are certain things where I'm like, this feels too modern in terms of like satire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's fun because there's demons and magic and they're going to fantasy lands like Prague.
I will say, specifically since Prague features heavily in this book, when I read this and I was in like, I don't know, 4th, 5th grade, something, this was like my first exposure to the existence of Prague. And in this book, it's alternate history Prague, which is like, you know, the capital of a fallen empire, and it's like just a wasteland and there's graveyards everywhere. So for the longest time, I'm like, Prague must be really dismal.
You bringing up the graveyards, I know we're going to get into it, but my favorite moment in the entire book, the moment that made me like laugh and cringe out loud, was when John is like, oh, but we took the city with minimal casualties. Why are there graveyards everywhere? Like, you bumbling idiot.
My whole thing about Nathaniel, or John Mandrake, which is his magician name, is that the entire book, you can tell that he's like just so close to getting it. Like, he'll make observations where you're like, if you just thought about it a little bit harder, I think you would maybe have a different opinion. But he's so locked into the way he's been raised that he can't bring himself to step out of that box. And I do think as a protagonist, he's super interesting because, I mean, I think I said this in the last episode too, but I'm not rooting for him to succeed because he just wants to like gain power in government and continue to oppress people.
I'm rooting for him. I think he'll be the one who makes the big difference in the end.
Okay, I
think he's the enlightened philosopher king.
Oh, sure, Michael.
I'm kidding. Come on.
But I am really rooting for him to like figure it out. I don't know if he's gonna necessarily like become a revolutionary in the course of these books, but I would at least hope that he holds on to who he is, like before he became a magician, before all this came into his life. And I do think it is a really important, I guess, character study of what it's like to grow up on the power side of a cult, where everything that the cult is telling you really benefits you. So, of course, you're not going to question it. But there is still a part of you that feels like something's wrong, you know?
Like, it's so clearly a bad place to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so enticing. The opportunities, the wallpaper decisions, the shag carpets and long coats and very tight pants that keep getting brought up.
I love all the descriptions at the beginning of the book about the like aesthetics of magicians.
Yeah.
And how they dress themselves, how they design their interior spaces.
Super elitist, super classist, and
silly,
yeah. But it's like all part of this facade that they have to put on, which is like the amount of wealth, physical wealth that you display, in a way is kind of equal to how much power you have, because if you have a higher position in government, then you get more money, which means you can afford this lavish lifestyle. So people can immediately tell if you're a magician just by the clothes you're wearing. And that's kind of the point. And it's just a cycle of them being like, I have to demonstrate more and more exceptional wealth because that's how they're going to know that I'm actually powerful, as opposed to just being like, well, I'm powerful and you'll figure it out. Yeah. No, they're like very overtly like, look at my Gucci shoes and my Prada purse. Like, you know, like that's the only way that people will know that I have power.
Look at the refinement of my personal library.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can we talk about like Mrs. Whitwell and her like millennial minimalism?
We might as well just get into plot at this point.
Yeah, let's just get into it.
So we open up the book with a prologue that takes place in pre-Prague. Pre-collapse Prague.
In 1868.
In 1868. So we open with Bartimaeus. He is currently in the service of a magician of Prague, the capital of the Czech Empire, which in 1868 is short for this world as its dominant magical imperial power.
It's a continuation of the Roman Empire, correct?
I don't think it has a direct correlation. I don't think there's ever been a Czech empire in the manner it's described in the book.
Like in the fantasy of the book.
In the fantasy of the book.
In this like fake world, the Czech Empire is a continuation of like the Byzantine Empire. So they call themselves the Roman Empire, but they're centered in Prague.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Oh, they make some reference of like the Holy Roman Empire, which is kind of a Germanic thing.
Yeah, even though Rome, like canonically in this world, Rome fell, but the empire continued.
Yes. It's all very alternate history.
Yeah.
But anyway, Prague is about to fall. It is being sieged by the forces of the ascendant British Empire led by Prime Minister William Gladstone.
Who I was shocked to learn is a real person.
Yeah.
Was a real. It's sort of like if you just replace him for our American brains with like Abraham Lincoln, like it sort of becomes sort of like weird and funny and sort of off kilter, like Abraham Lincoln and his great hat of power.
George Washington and his dentures of magnitude. I was doing a little research on this because I was like, was there a reason behind William Gladstone? I guess for the time, Gladstone himself in history was more of a progressively minded individual than a different politician who was often cast as his opponent by the name of Disraeli or something. And
he was very popular.
They make a mention of Disraeli, this alternate history Disraeli, in book 1, where they say that Gladstone beat him in a duel or something. In real life, I think they just kind of went at each other politically for a long time.
What do you mean? They're not actually magicians?
Well, they didn't fight a duel in real life, as far as I know.
Can you imagine if you're a kid reading this book and then you go to school the next day, and then you're like, but my book said that William Gladstone was a magician. He did this. And your teacher's like, no.
Hey, that's all. This is
really
all I know.
towing the line of
Prague.
history.
This is all I know about William Gladstone.
Yeah.
The real man.
But it was like, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, what would be the equivalent? What like late 1800s American politician could we grab? Gladstone.
Late 1800s, what, like Ulysses Grant or something?
Is that, I guess it's on the later half.
1865-ish?
Who was
president in 1865?
Andrew Johnson.
Sure, I don't know anything about...
Andrew Johnson was served from 1865 to 1869.
Okay, I guess he gets a little overshadowed by his predecessor.
So then, no, he was... I guess Abraham Lincoln could have, in this alternate history.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln in his hat of power. You know, like John Wilkes Booth shoots him in the back of the head, but the hat reflects the bullet.
Ooh.
And then his demon pops out of him and goes like, ah! I don't know. But, is this sacrilegious? I don't know.
Whatever.
We're in alternate history now.
We're in alternate history. America canonically exists in this alternate history.
Yeah.
And it's not doing well.
It's still just on the eastern seaboard.
Yep.
Which maybe is nice for the rest of the country. It hasn't been colonized yet.
I think one person, though, refers to it as the North American wastes.
Oh, I missed that then.
I think it's having a bad time.
Bartimaeus says that there's nothing in America, but then Nathaniel says, oh, you haven't been to America in a while. It's actually like got stuff going on now. So I think they've modernized a bit, but they're not quite to the level of London. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are both getting ahead of and behind ourselves. We are establishing broader world building.
Yeah.
So, the history of the world and magicians, Byzantine Empire, the Persians, this and that. Prague is falling. Bartimaeus is serving a magician of Prague as Gladstone begins his final attack on the city. Bartimaeus has a friend, another djinn named Queasel, and they both get summoned into the chamber of this magician who's like, we're getting out of here. The Emperor of Prague wants all of his birds like paratroopered out of here by our Afrits, and Bartimaeus is like,
super important task.
Yeah. Bartimaeus is like, all our Afrits are dead, and the magician's like, I know. We gotta get out of here. While they leave, they pass a number of tables where these Czech magicians are essentially piloting through these crystal balls, these constructs, magical constructs known as golems. We don't see them, but we know that they're basically releasing these powerful, rather bespoke, magical, essentially weapons platforms against the British armies, and that it's hopefully going to buy them enough time to get out. They don't. As they're fleeing with the Emperor, The spirits in service to the British Empire attack, and before Bartimaeus and Queasel are destroyed, the magician who summoned them dies first. He basically has a magical hand grenade that he pulls the pin on, metaphorically speaking, and doesn't throw in time and blows up.
He hesitates for a moment too long.
Yeah. And then that is the end of our prologue. We return to present day, where we see Nathaniel from the first book, who has now taken the name John Mandrake to protect his identity, beginning yet another day at the government offices, where he serves in the,
Department of Internal Affairs.
Department of Internal Affairs, under a rather sallow and literally, yellow-complexioned individual named Julius Tallow.
Sort of your standard, bumbling, incompetent, middle management guy.
Yeah.
Who's, really coming down on his inferiors, but, terrified of his superiors.
Yes.
Yeah. He was promoted out of competence. Or I should say...
Oh, failing upward?
Yeah, he failed upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a real piece of work. And everybody speculates behind his back, why is his face canary yellow or whatever, that specific
It's got to be some kind of spell gone wrong or something like that, because that doesn't happen naturally. You don't just wake up canary yellow.
Crayon yellow.
Yeah.
Rainbow yellow.
Nathaniel is the apprentice of Jessica Whitwell, who is head of security in the government. And she's instructing him sternly and, keeping up with his ambition. Nathaniel hasn't told anyone that he made a pact with Bartimaeus in book number 1, nor has he told anyone that Bartimaeus knows his true name.
Yeah.
At the end of book 1, he and Bartimaeus made a pact that Nathaniel would never summon him again, and Bartimaeus would never tell anyone Nathaniel's true name.
Yeah. Part of the reason is because when Nathaniel summoned Bartimaeus in book 1, he was way too young to have achieved that level of power.
Yeah.
Now, 3 years later, Nathaniel is now at the level where he can summon a genie without anyone batting an eye. They're like, yeah, you're powerful enough to do that now. Yeah.
So, yes, Nathaniel serves in the government, and being part of the Department of Internal Affairs, he has focused a lot of his attention on tracking down the quote-unquote resistance, this shadowy network, very vague in his mind, of commoners, dissidents who are working against the noble British government and the benevolent rule of the magicians.
And they've been doing stuff like stealing and attacking small shops and venues. So mainly just causing small amounts of chaos throughout the city, but it's piling up and they want to nip it in the bud. So that's Nathaniel's job, is to find them, weed them out, destroy the resistance.
And he's not having a lot of success.
Yeah.
His strategies are expounded on in detail, and we come to learn that they are so poorly thought out in hindsight. When we learn about them initially, it's I'll disguise demons as kids and go out into the streets, and the resistance is probably, I don't know, nice and empathetic to children, so they'll take them in.
Specifically poor bedraggled orphans.
Yeah.
He's recalling his time in the first
book. Look as
book.
pathetic as possible.
Yeah. And we later learned that the resistance is maybe not so wholesome.
Yeah.
And so that was never going to work.
But also specifically, the resistance can see through the magic tricks.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. I think the main problem with Nathaniel's approach is that he is so reliant on magic to do everything that he doesn't even think okay, magic doesn't seem to be working. Sending spirits in disguise doesn't seem to be working, because somehow they just manage to tell when it's not a real kid and it's actually an imp in disguise. Wonder why that's happening. I guess I'll just keep trying.
Yeah. He keeps and this is what a lot of the magicians do.
Yeah.
They throw the blame to their servants, these spirits, these 2 foliates I got, they're so incompetent. One of them even forgot to hide his tail or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all their fault. I'm going to keep using these servants whom I hate, whom I can, in my mind, both determine to be the one best solution to my plan, but also the reason it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it's this double think.
Yeah. I think there's a world in which Nathaniel could have been maybe one of us should go undercover as a real person. But no, magicians can't pretend to be commoners. That's ridiculous. We would never bring ourselves down to their level. Yeah. So yeah, Nathaniel's having a bad time. The chief of police is like breathing down his neck because
Henry Duval.
Yeah, because Nathaniel's having no progress and the chief of police wants to take over.
And the chief of police's assistant, Jane Farrar, has this like
Rivalry?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right adjective for it, but it's like trading backhanded compliments and insults with each other.
With Nathaniel. Yeah.
They have hatred banter.
Hatred banter. And Nathaniel being like 14 years old and Jane being like a few years older than him, he's like in the middle of the mode where he's like, an attractive person. I gotta keep it together.
But this seems like it highlights a greater trend among musicians. Or highlights a greater trend among magicians to where none of them have friends.
Yeah.
And they all hate each other. So
because everyone's always out to get you.
Yeah.
Any form of relationship you have with any other magician is purely selfish and mostly antagonistic, which feels like Hollywood. Cheap shot. Like it really makes you wonder, like how
there's a commodification. To it.
None of these people can form true like friendships or relationships. How do we keep getting magicians?
Yeah.
Even like the like quote unquote alliance that is the upper echelon of Parliament. They're supposed to be working together, but they all know that everyone in Parliament is just waiting for someone else in Parliament to mess up so that they can take their place in Parliament. You know, like there's no like efforts to, or like, there's no motivation really to help another person succeed in their efforts. The chief of police could instead work together with internal affairs, but no. Chief of police wants all the power and glory, and internal affairs also wants all the power and glory, and neither person is going to give in.
Yeah. It's an entire system built on suspicion and paranoia.
Yeah.
And exploitation and an acquisitive kind of mindset where it's just about get as much as you can before someone else takes it from you, because if you're not fast and clever and strong enough, it'll all be gone and you'll be ruined.
Yeah.
You'll be just a normal person.
How terrible. How disgusting.
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't have slaves like a normal person? You think I'm just supposed to be a standard individual?
I'm supposed to do things myself? That's another thing about, like you highlighted, Victoria, like the magicians would be so much more efficient if they did things themselves, but they refuse to, they're always delegating downwards.
They won't even like go to the store, you know?
Yeah.
I was just thinking like later, like near the end of the book, Nathaniel has Bartimaeus like help him do interior design in his new apartment.
He's like putting in grout or whatever.
Yeah, he's like tearing out the bathroom and like buying curtains. And I'm just like, I guess it just feels silly to me. But, you know, when you're a magician and you enjoy just getting to like tell people what to do, so you're just gonna like do it as often as possible. It is very fascinating. Briefly, since we're on the topic of interior design, my comment earlier about Jessica Whitwell's interior design style, because there's like a comment early on where I think Nathaniel says like, oh yeah, like for a while the trend among magicians was like really like elaborate books, like every book has to be covered in like cheetah print and like feathers and like really like lavish, just like crazy different things all around the house. But Jessica Whitwell has taken a more refined and polished approach, and she wants all of her books to be the same color, which is white.
Monographed with like the same...
And then monographed in like the same text. And I was just thinking, because it's just funny, because that's been the trend of like books lately, which is like everyone wants like really standard book spines and like everything to like be, to look the same on their bookshelves. And it's just funny to me.
Cycles.
Yeah. Cycles of fashion. We talked about cycles of empire last episode. Today we're talking about cycles of fashion. No.
Good books makes great spines. Great spines make strong shelf. Strong shelf make bad books?
It doesn't quite translate. Anyways, let's get back to the plot.
Strong shelf make large stack of books I have not yet read.
Yeah, true.
Then we flash over to Kitty.
Yes.
Don't we? Whom we get a brief glimpse of in book 1.
But now this book is like the Kitty backstory arc. We get a lot of details about like why, which is basically that, to summarize very briefly, she and a friend did the thing that kids do when they play with a ball and make an accident happen.
Yeah.
They break a window, a car crashes, and they had the misfortune of damaging the car of the magician Tallow, who sicks an evil green monkey on them and blasts her friend Jacob into a bad skin.
Yeah. It's like,
And the
oh
hospital.
no, we broke Mr. Smith's window with our baseball. Mr. Smith, we're sorry. Why do you have a flamethrower?
Yeah. And so she tries to go to trial to, right wrongs and punish Tallow for his assault on children.
Yeah.
But the system is rigged, and she gets fined 600 pounds instead, and Tallow gets off scot-free. And through this, part of her testimony is that like, oh, Tallow attacked me and my friend Jacob with this black tumbler spell, which not only like hurt us physically and knocked Jacob out and put him in like a serious physical ailment, but also like turned his skin into this like crazy warped like black pattern.
Yeah.
Like zebra stripe pattern or something.
Yeah, it's like this striated, like gray and black kind of something.
Yeah. And so a big part of her testimony is like, oh, it hit both of us. But she's completely unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
And so
the judge is like, you're lying.
Yeah. Some judicial system also.
Yeah.
The judicial system is, I am the judge. Let me hear you. And let me hear you. I decide.
Yeah.
Like there's no jury. There's no second opinion.
Well,
There's
at
no
first
anything.
the judge is almost
Well, there's like
on
no
Kitty's
evidence.
side.
There's no evidence. There's no lawyers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
It's just it's word of mouth. And when it's just word of mouth, the person with more power is going to win.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Tallow wins, Kitty loses, and an old man watching the trial goes, something's up with that Kitty resisting this magical black tumbler spell. I'm going to recruit her into the resistance. And his name is Mr. Pennyfeather, and he could keel over at any second.
He's old when he recruits her, and he gets older.
Yeah.
The march of time.
Yeah, so he offers to pay off Kitty's debt, which is
Yes.
huge because, like, otherwise she and her family, they would have to sell their house in order to just barely be able to pay off the debt. And so, of course, it's like an offer that's impossible to refuse. And so Kitty accepts the offer, but then she is really interested in what Mr. Pennyfeather has to say, which is he tells her, I think you have magical resistance. And that's why when the black tumbler hit you and your friend, you were fine when you should have hypothetically ended up just like Jacob did.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kitty is really interested to learn more about this potential magical resistance that she has. So she joins the resistance. And it turns out a bunch of these people who are in the resistance have some form of magic resistance. So some people can see through the spirit's appearance illusions. So that's why when Nathaniel has been sending imps out dressed as orphans, they're like, no, that's just an imp. So they can literally see through it. Like magicians use a contact lens in order to see through various planes because there's 7 planes, blah, blah. But these people don't need that. They can just see the spirits for who they are. And then there's also people who can detect magical energy from objects. So that allows them to steal objects that are useful to them because they can just literally be like, in that shop there's something. And they go and they steal it. Just like different abilities like that that make the resistance effective but also hard to catch when the magicians rely on magic to find these people.
Yeah. The Resistance is really fascinating to me. Also, I did not pick up on the fact that their name is the Resistance and they all have resistance.
I kind of just realized that now. I was like, it is kind of ironic,
It's
I
fun.
think. Yeah.
Their philosophy is fascinating because they're led by Mr. Pennyfeather, who has his own tragic backstory, but is at first like bent on revenge and justice.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you explore his character, you realize he's kind of like the magicians in a way that he cares a lot about power and he's very greedy and sort of like looks down on the common people. Like he considers himself above common people.
Because he's like, we have magical resistance, so we're better than the really, really common people.
Yeah. And it honestly cripples his operation because he refuses to recruit outside of people with resistance.
Yeah.
And he refuses to communicate with any sort of like common people resentment. Like
and also a lot of the things that the resistance do end up causing public opinion to be more against them.
Yeah.
Like they're just like attacking
They're attacking common
random shop owners, and their justification is like, well, they're
not
helping the magicians by selling them things. But we get from like Kitty's backstory, like Jacob's family does bookbinding for magicians. And she asks him, like, why are you doing this? Like, your family is also complicit in helping these magicians oppress us. And they're like, well, first of all, we kind of don't have a choice. It's also like complicated for them because they're Czech. And so the magicians are more suspicious and racist against them inherently. And so their philosophy is like, let's stay in their good graces because that's how we can...
fly under the radar?
Yeah.
Yeah, fly under the radar, but also like, it's like keep your enemies close.
Yeah.
Type of philosophy. And so if you take like Jacob's family experience and apply that to these regular shopkeepers, like they also have no choice. Like they live in a society that's run by magicians, and magicians have all the money and power. So in order to survive, you have to sell to magicians.
Like everyone's living in a very precarious, like sure, the magicians are living in their own precarious world where they're going at each other, but the commoners are living with a level of precarity where it's so easy to lose so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
if you
so
would just like make one magician mad, because you're like, I don't want to sell you goods anymore, it's over for you.
So like the barrier that they would have to overcome to be able to actually start like taking any kind of resistive action or any kind of like direct action or intention is like very high.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, at least, the resistance is very small.
Very small.
And it's largely made up of disaffected youth and one old man.
And he's also become super jaded.
Yeah.
Because it's like he spent, let's say, like 20 plus years working, building this resistance, but nothing is he's not really making progress, but part of it is his own fault, but he doesn't really realize it. And so he's now getting to the point of like, I'm old and I'm dying soon, and so I just want to like make some progress to show that my life had something to show for itself.
Yeah. One last job.
Yeah.
And they get that. Also, the timelines of how Kitty's story line up with Nathaniel's story, Jonathan Stroud kind of plays with timelines of like, we hear about the aftermath of what happened with Kitty's adventures, and then we hear about what actually happened from Kitty's perspective.
Yeah.
And so it kind of jumps between. But everything changes for the Resistance when Mr. Pennyfeather meets a man.
Mr. Hopkins.
He's like described as very normal and forgettable.
Yeah.
He's like just a man.
He's just a guy.
He's so forgettable that sometimes when you are talking to him, you'll forget that you're talking to him.
Yeah. He's the default avatar.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hopkins knows things. He's got the inside scoop. And so he gains Mr. Pennyfeather's trust very quickly, suspiciously quickly, you might say. And Mr. Pennyfeather's like, we're going to do the big one. We're going to rob the tomb of
William
Gladstone.
Yeah.
And that'll be like my pièce de résistance. That'll be my that's how I'm going out. And so a lot of this book is like prep and then the heist of Gladstone's tomb.
Yeah.
Which predictably goes really well at first and then terribly.
It goes really, really bad.
Interestingly, Hopkins has a contact that he claims is a magician, used to be of greater prominence, but is now...
Disaffected?
Disaffected, yeah, with the rest of the magical establishment. And Kitty even meets this individual, though she doesn't see this person's face. She just shows up to, I think, some sort of theater and then has to sit. Victoria has a smile on her face. I know what you're thinking.
I know who it is. I'm kidding.
And then
I have strong suspicions on who it is.
Strong suspicions.
Because we don't find out in this book. This is part of like a bigger conspiracy that goes through the three books.
Yeah, because basically I'm getting ahead. Sorry, you guys continue. I'm getting ahead of it.
Could it be the playwright?
I think it's the playwright because she meets him at a theater, but maybe that's
and
too
also
obvious. I don't think he's like the one behind it all, but it is implied that like everything that happened in book 1 with Simon Lovelace. Simon Lovelace was not the big bad. There's someone else who was pulling the strings to get Simon Lovelace to do what they wanted. And similarly here, it's implied they're also pulling the strings to make sure everyone does everything that they want to. So laying the foundation for stuff that will happen in book 3.
Yeah.
Also, his name is Mr. Makepeace.
Quentin Makepeace.
That name sounds so fake.
A famous playwright.
He His
There's
goals.
very interesting commentary on art in that
Yeah, there
point.
really is.
Because we get to see at the beginning of the book, Kitty's watching like one of his plays because they're doing like a heist or whatever.
Yeah.
And Kitty has this moment where she's watching this play, and like the narrative of the play is about like this genie who falls in love with a mortal woman who's enslaved to this foul magician. And Kitty directly is having this inner narrative where she's like, and of course, the form of this story, the form that it takes is that there's a bad apple magician who has to be dealt with by the benevolent good magicians. He's an exception to the rule. And of course, at the end of the story, the genie will be revealed as having been turned into one by a foul spirit, and he'll be turned back into a man. And the narrative being that everything's fine if you just sort of like seek out the proper authority, and true love wins in the end, and don't think any further about it. And she's just feeling very like, oh gosh, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
There's also a comment Nathaniel makes where he says that artists and writers are like a step above criminals.
But then at the end of the book, he's like, I guess I'm going to plays now.
Yeah.
Because he becomes friends with Mr. Makepeace.
Mr. Makepeace's goals in the second book align perfectly with the mysterious benefactor's goals.
Yeah.
Of like, I would like the staff.
Everyone
I would
wants
like
this
the staff.
stuff.
But like,
So, they basically send the Resistance to the tomb because the Resistance wants this bag of money that's like eternal money.
Yeah, there's like a crystal ball.
Yeah,
in there.
just like a couple things that would be really helpful to the Resistance because they're running low on funds and they could use the
and
help.
people.
And people, yeah. So, but their one request is like, we want the cloak and the staff of Gladstone. And
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything.
yeah.
Hopkins is like, yes, his famous cloak and staff, which are just normal. We just like curiosities and archaeology.
We just want to show it. We just want to put it in a display case.
There's like
It's
come
on.
There's a little charm on the staff that wards off mosquitoes. But that's all.
Yeah. When you touch it and you feel your spine melting, that's the bug zap. But I get in that tomb and it turns out that Gladstone has infused himself with one of his, what are they called? Afrits?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a step above a genie.
Yeah.
And so there's like,
And his name is Honorius.
yes, and Honorius has been there.
For a really, really long time.
And he says he's normal,
Mm.
but he's not normal.
Okay. I just need to talk about this whole chapter.
Can I intercede
Sorry, yes.
real quick? In the middle of this, there have also been a number of attacks
Oh, yes.
John Mandrake, Nathaniel, whatever. His
by some sort of mysterious assailant that Nathaniel's been investigating. And we learn partway through that it is a golem.
Yes.
Ooh.
And so the magicians freak out because they're like, only Czech magicians know how to make golems.
And so while this whole heist is going on, Nathaniel is sent to Prague by Jessica Whitwell to investigate using one of their spies, one of their British spies in Prague. Like, all right, if this is supposedly a golem, the only people who would know about this are in Prague. Go to Prague, figure out how this could even be possible.
It's really fascinating how this book is plotted because there's a conspiracy surrounding Nathaniel that we as the reader have a lot of the pieces of, but Nathaniel doesn't. And so like we can see like, oh, someone is controlling the golem to cause chaos. Separately, the resistance are doing their own thing. But all these people are trying to combine these two problems into one to discredit Nathaniel.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the book is us just looking at Nathaniel going, you gonna figure it out, bud?
Yeah. It feels like, oh, the resistance attack happened to happen while Nathaniel's conveniently not in London, so he can't root out the resistance. And at first you're like, that feels like a convenient plot device. And then you're like, no, that's the whole point. Like, the person pulling the strings wants Nathaniel to be out of London when this is all going down.
Mhm.
And it also conveniently allows the people who are trying to discredit Nathaniel to say, you went chasing this wild goose chase about a golem, because the only person who saw the golem was Bartimaeus. So they're like, we can't trust your spirit to be telling the truth. So you were just going to Prague for nothing. And in return, the tomb got broken into. How could they have done this?
There is a funny moment when Bartimaeus confronts the golem in the the National British Museum or whatever. And he describes like grabbing some sort of he's like, I grabbed some sort of stone that looked like it had instructions on it, probably just for museum goers. It was like written in 3 languages, and I smashed it over the golem's head.
And then the next chapter is like, so many things were destroyed, including the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. And you're like, ha, nice.
It's so good.
So while Nathaniel's in Prague,
he does discover a magician who is helping someone in London make these golems, and he's able to stop him from making a second one, but he's not able to get the information about who the traitor is. He just knows there is a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
We have another encounter with the mercenary from book 1.
Yeah.
Who is this guy with magical resistance and like a sick sword and these like silver discs.
My edgy first OC.
Yeah, it's very much like that. I'm like, who is this guy? He must have cornered the market on this kind of thing.
True.
Because he's getting so much work.
He's the one who tells Nathaniel, like, you thought it ended with Lovelace? Nah, man. Lovelace was only the beginning. And so Nathaniel's like, ah! Also, interestingly, the mercenary is the only one who knows about Bartimaeus and that Nathaniel summoned Bartimaeus. So he conveniently dies in this book.
Well,
I don't know if he does.
I don't think
Does
so.
he not?
I mean, well, Bartimaeus like launches him out a window.
I could see him still being alive. Yeah, that's
Bartimaeus says, like, we've got 5, maybe 10 minutes before he's back here.
true. Oh, okay. There's a lot going on.
I do seem to recall in book 1, Bartimaeus keeps like hitting him with attack after attack, and the mercenary keeps getting back up, and he's like, what the heck is wrong with this guy?
John Mandrake has adventures in Prague, which are sort of like clue hunty and like espionage, and he's meeting contacts, and then they're disguising themselves as Hot Dog Man, and the Hot Dog Man sacrifices himself for his country.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Hot Dog Man. And so it's all very like, ooh, interesting, and lore about Prague, and like learning about the architecture and like how golems are made. And then it's cutting back to Kitty in the most harrowing chapters I've read in a long time, of like this demon possessing the skeleton of his master, one by one hunting down and killing the members of the resistance in this like almost like Pennywise from It, like mocking clown laughing like, ooh hoo hee hee, I turn you inside out, like
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was listening to this chapter while I was baking, and I was standing there mixing my batter and just being like, oh my God. Like, it's terrifying. Like, I mean, in my mind, I was envisioning it almost like one of those like running zombies in movies where he's just like running at you and you're just like running through the tunnels trying to get away, and it can like sniff you out because it can sense like the magical objects that you are carrying, because like Kitty tries to like at least retrieve like the cloak and the staff and stuff, and it's just like one by one, it's like a group of them are running. One person goes down, another person goes down. Kitty keeps running, and then it's like they split up, and then Mr. Pennyfeather goes down. He's like, go on without me. But then he shows up later, and she's like, is it really him?
Yeah.
Or is it
Is
Honorius?
Yeah.
Kitty is the best horror movie protagonist because she makes all the right choices while also sticking to her moral compass,
Yeah.
which is like she doesn't want to leave anyone behind, but she's fully aware that the demon can like impersonate people.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm going to check, but I know that checking is a huge risk. So I'm going to like check as I'm sprinting away.
Yeah. And she checks, and Honorius in the skeleton of Gladstone is literally like leaning on a pillar smiling. And you're like, ah!
It was so freaky. But then here's the crazy thing about this chapter. At the very end, there's a moment where Honorius like looks up at the sky and reflects like, wow, I'm experiencing fresh air for the first time in a really long time. This is really great. And it was like so insane to me because I spent the entire chapter being like terrified of this creature out of my mind. Like I was like, I would never want to be in Kitty's shoes. She literally has PTSD after this encounter.
Yeah.
And yet I was like, no, it would really suck to be bound to the bones of your master. Because usually, like, the deal is when the magician dies, you get to go free. You get to return to the other place. And you'll probably get summoned again in the future, but you at least get some time off, you know?
Yeah.
But he has no choice. Like, his whole existence is to protect William Gladstone's tomb. And that is a task that will never end. He's almost, like, excited to be on the chase because he knows that as soon as the chase is over, he has to go back.
Yeah.
And it made me feel bad for him.
It's a moment of empathy.
Yeah.
And then that empathy is shattered.
And then you're like, okay.
When you meet him next, and he's like rampaging through London, just like zapping random kids into dust, being like, I'm free! And you're like, all right, bud.
As I was reading that, I was in such deep appreciation, because I had forgotten that the spirit possesses Gladstone's bones. I was like, I know an insane spirit gets loose and starts causing havoc, but I'd forgotten that he'd like, just the idea of like, oh, another beautiful day in America where nothing is totally wrong at all. What's this headline? Oh, the skeleton of Abraham Lincoln is gyrating through Washington, D.C.
Yeah, he's gyrating. He's doing like lewd dance moves and like climbing up and down buildings and like spinning his head around. He's visiting a flock of 5 imps and expounding philosophy on them and then eating them one by one and then saying, stay here, I'll be back in an hour.
Yeah.
He's like making a loop.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard in that scene where Bartimaeus, being charged by Nathaniel at this point, like, all right, deal with the spirit. And he's like, man, come on. Like, finds that cluster of imps, and the imps are very much like, yeah, no, we've seen your spirit. And he's like, where is it? He's like, I don't know, but he'll be back here in like 30 minutes if he keeps his current schedule. He shows up, talks, and eats one of us.
And Bartimaeus transforms into a pigeon and just sits and waits. Yeah. And then when he does encounter Honorius, because he does come back, he's like, genuinely, if he even bothered to like look past the first plane or whatever, he would see that I'm not actually an imp. But he's lost his mind. He doesn't care. He's just like, hee hee. It was honestly funny, but it was like insane.
Yeah. But it's real bad for John Mandrake.
Yeah.
He gets back from Prague.
Yeah, he gets back from Prague and everything has exploded.
Everyone's upset. And I think for the first time in the whole book, like genuinely justifiably so. The skeleton of your old prime minister is dancing around London.
Okay, but here's the thing is like, they're not even like more concerned about the fact that he's like terrorizing the civilians. They're like, this makes us look bad.
Yeah. And they're like, what's for lunch? And you're like, oh boy.
It's satirical of an alternate history made up like government, but it's just like, it's beautiful. It's like the kind of satire you can only get in like fiction like this.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we are the greatest empire the world has ever seen. We are the inheritance of magicians through the ages. Our noble and, impervious founder is now gallivanting through the streets, puppeted by an insane spirit, friggin' eating your phones and refusing to tip at restaurants. And
we're trying to track it with drones, but it keeps shooting at our drones and we're running out of drones.
Yeah. But also we're the greatest empire we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So then Kitty is on the run because everyone's looking for her because they know that she got away. Nathaniel figures out her name because they do a search of like, who are these people who are dead at the crypt, and they figure out Mr. Pennyfeather. I almost said Pennywise. Goodness gracious. They figure out Mr. Pennyfeather's name, and they find out his shop, and they like look at the list of all the people who worked for him, and they're like, probably all these people are affiliated with the resistance. God, and brutal. At first, Nathaniel's like, I don't see a Kitty. I see a Kathleen Jones.
You're like, come on, man. He looks like at another list that's like the exact same, but one of the names is Kitty instead
Jones.
Of Kathleen.
And he's like, oh, Kitty and Kathleen.
His mind is like blasted.
He's like doing a thing where he's like holding both papers up to each other in the light.
Out. Kitty is Kathleen.
And it's just because like Mr. Pennyfeather happened to like write the books a different way or whatever that is. It's like funny like how serious Nathaniel takes himself.
It causes a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
He's like a 16-year-old kid.
He's like 14. He's a
Isn't
baby.
He 14 at the beginning? Oh, right. He's 14 now. He was like 11 in book 1.
Yeah. Kitty is like 16.
Yeah, okay. Nathaniel's 14 years old. He's got like emo kid hair. And he thinks he looks so cool with his black cloak.
And his like skin tight pants and his like super multicolored like ascot scarf thing or whatever.
And he's like, I am John Mandrake.
I am the favorite of Prime Minister Devereaux, whose life I saved.
His life, yeah.
When I cross my legs, it hurts. My pants are just right. And then we get both the saddest and also the funniest scene, in my opinion, chapter of the book. Kitty has no idea what to do. Like you said, Victoria, PTSD. And so she goes home. She's like, I'm just going to go home. I would like to see my parents and have a warm bowl of soup and maybe do a little crying.
Yeah.
And she gets home and John Mandrake got there first.
Yeah.
Such
and
a
her
great
parents
reveal.
fully betray her.
Yeah.
She's like, I disown you, my child. Like, go to the gallows, I guess.
They're like terrified. They're like, please, Mr. John Mandrake, sir, like, we had nothing to do with what our daughter did. Please go discipline her. We wipe our hands of the whole matter.
Yeah. And it's a little bit like terrifying because they're so scared of this 14-year-old child. But at the same time, he is a 14-year-old child. And Bartimaeus is, importantly, hunting Abraham Lincoln. So John Mandrake is essentially showing up with like a gun with no bullets in it.
Yeah, and he's also like, it's like slightly unsanctioned by the government because he's trying, he's been taken off the case.
Yeah.
He's been taken off the case, but he's like, I know that Kitty Jones is part of the resistance because of this encounter I had with her like 3 years ago.
He's like, if I can get a hold of her, like the staff is still missing.
Yeah.
So if I can get a hold of her, she probably has a staff. If I get the staff back and I bring it to Premise or Devereaux, I'm going to be the golden boy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kitty sees right through him and she basically is like, you have no power here.
Yeah.
And John Mandrake's like, no, I'm a big boy. And so Kitty.
I have this low-level demon. I have this little gray imp thing that will shake its fist at you and throw a wad of slime.
No, it's specifically one that will grab your hair because that's the one that Mr. Pennyfeather introduces to Kitty like when he first meets her. He's like, oh, don't worry. Like it basically like he tests her resistance by sending a molar?
I think that's what it's called.
A molar after her. And she's like, why would you do that? Like you put my life in danger. And he's like, don't worry. Like, first of all, I was testing a hunch and I was right. So it wouldn't have affected you anyway. But even if it did, it would only grab your hair and you'd be fine. Like it can't kill you. And so
Kitty
Nathaniel
suplexes.
sends the same one after him. And like her parents scream. And then she suplexes this molar because she's like, you have no power here. And then she punches Nathaniel in the face. It's so satisfying.
I was laughing.
Yeah.
Because like we're following these two, I guess, protagonists, for lack of a better word, plus Bartimaeus' perspective chapters. And so you're kind of like, your instincts, I'm following John Mandrake. I want him to succeed. But as soon as him and Kitty get in the same room together, his like ineptitude becomes so obvious so quickly. He goes from like kind of cool and kind of succeeding to like, oh, this is just a kid who has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Kitty, who goes from like, terrified for her life to suddenly the most competent person in the room just by sheer comparison. It's so funny. And then for the rest of the book, Kitty's just like beating up demons left and right. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah. There's like, so the police, or I should say the night police.
I didn't realize till this book that the night police are all werewolves.
I didn't either.
Me neither.
Because I remember they were mentioned in book 1, but only in this one does Bartimaeus say like, yeah, all the night police are werewolves, and werewolves have like this particular lore attached to them, which is like no one really trusts werewolves, but they also specifically like breed them to be like their police force, which is insane.
It's crazy commentary because it sort of implied that the werewolves don't have full control of themselves.
Yeah.
So they don't arrest people. They just tear them to shreds.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Great.
They're also called graybacks.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting little moniker.
Nathaniel, he's like, ugh, that Kitty Jones got away from me, but I'll show her. So he goes to kidnap Jacob. Because he's like, well, in order to lure out Kitty, I just need to kidnap her friend. Because I know that he was involved in, Nathaniel did research about the whole case with Tallow. And so he goes to he sends Bartimaeus to kidnap Jacob. Also, side note, real quick, Tallow died.
Not yet.
No, he dies before he kidnaps Jacob.
He dies when they send all the genie out to hunt Abraham
like
Lincoln.
all the
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
you're right.
Flashback a little bit to when all the magicians are like, we got to take down this Afreet that's running around. So all the magicians.
There is one thing I should
Yeah,
clarify that I don't think we did. After the court case that Kitty loses because of corruption, and she's talking to Jacob's like parents and like his grandma.
I love Jacob's grandma.
She's very down about it, and they're obviously distraught because their boy has been maimed, but they're also like,
We have ways of enacting revenge.
Yeah, we'll deal with tallow.
Yeah.
And it's very heavily implied that basically because they do printing for the magicians, they made a little error in one of the books meant for tallow that resulted in him doing some magic, summoning a spirit in such a way that the spell was flawed and it turned his face yellow permanently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like,
I think it's
oh.
like there are like small errors throughout the book that it's like as many chances as we can get without
just
making it
ruin
too
his
obvious
life.
to just like make his life hard. And then in this scene where all the magicians are summoning their spirits because they've got to send a force after this Ifrit, Tallow summons, because he's like, I'm Tallow and I gotta prove that I'm a big boy magician or whatever. He summons like a giant spirit. Spirits, when they're summoned, they always test the pentacle to be like, did you do a good job? Can I escape? Can I enact my revenge?
Can
And
I
this time,
eat you?
there was a little hole in the pentacle.
The spirit is
And the
described as
spirit-
being very surprised.
The spirit's like, oh, it's my lucky day. And kills Tallow right then and there.
Yeah.
So Bartimaeus goes to kidnap Jacob.
Can I just
Okay, sorry.
hover on this moment a
Yeah,
bit?
yeah.
Because it's great. For one, all these jinn are being summoned and they're all taking different forms and Bartimaeus gets
Oh
summoned.
my gosh.
And then he looks to one of the circles and there's different animals and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in one circle is just a footstool. And he talks to Nathaniel and he's like, did you see that one? It took the form of a footstool. Why did it take and Nathaniel's like, that's not, no one's using that circle. That's just a footstool.
That was my favorite joke in the whole book. It made me laugh so hard.
And then after Tallow gets eaten by this Ifrit that takes the form of a smoke cloud or whatever and then dissipates, all the magicians walk over to the circle and they're all like pale and sweating and they're like, oh my gosh, did you see? And all the spirits are like, yeah!
We got another
We
one!
got him!
It's incredible. I only realized what was happening about halfway through that sequence because Tallow is described as sort of incompetent, but he's not that incompetent. And so when the spirit he's summoning, which is he's taking a long time to summon it, he's summoning something massive, something way bigger than any other magician in the room because he's trying to, one up everyone. In my mind, I was like, oh, a good for honest mistake. But then I was like, wait a minute.
Exactly. That's why what Jacob's family did is so brilliant because they know that by putting the mistakes in the spell book, the magicians will just see it as this person is kind of incompetent and they'll be like, haha, you suck. Serves you right, but they won't actually suspect that a mere commoner could have done this on purpose. It's just so brilliant.
I was grinning. I was
Yeah.
like, he got him.
Yeah. I was starting to suspect once they mentioned oh, we're going to put something in the books. And I was like, wait, that's probably why he's yellow. And then so when the pentacle thing happened, I was like, yeah, they got him.
It's a double payoff.
Yeah.
And then eventually when Bartimaeus mentions it offhandedly to Jacob, and Jacob's reaction's at last.
Vindication. I
Jacob's
think it's also,
nice.
I think it's great because Tallow, he was miserable.
Miserable person.
I think it was almost I wouldn't wish death on people, but it's almost better that he didn't die right away. He didn't do the spell that killed him right away. He
got
did
to
the
suffer
spell
for a
that
bit.
made him look bad in front of people, and then he suffered. I mean, it's also kind of paid back because he caused Jacob refuses to leave the house now because he's
Yeah.
so ashamed of his appearance. Although Bartimaeus does give him a good people in other countries just do this on purpose. It's a rite of passage for them.
Yeah.
And it's oh.
You're very attractive in other cultures.
Yeah.
And Jacob's like, I can't be seen.
Bartimaeus is like, here's a increase for your self-esteem. You're actually quite a catch according to some people. I have to kidnap you now.
Yeah. It's interesting watching the character progression of our three main characters. Like you said before, John Mandrake sort of hovers between he almost gets it and he gets worse. And you can see him sort of get worse at the end. And then Kitty's worldview expands a lot throughout her adventures. And she's realizing how we were doing it is wrong. And I'm going to stick to my morals. She's always trying to save people. And I'm going to help in a different way. But then Bartimaeus gets kind of nicer by the end. I don't know if you guys felt this too, but
I think Bartimaeus is such an interesting character
he's
because
fascinating.
one of the things I love about Bartimaeus as a narrator is you can really trust his perspective. He's
Yeah.
always very upfront and like he's obviously like biased from his own personal experiences, but it's refreshing compared to like the very biased worldviews of Nathaniel and Kitty, because they're just like so locked in, like their worldview is very small. So it's nice when you get like that. Well, it's nice that Bartimaeus is telling like Nathaniel and Kitty's stories, because then you get like a very like unbiased opinion of like, this is what happened in these sequences.
I think it's definitely biased, but it's like very informed.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. I shouldn't use the word biased, because it is still like biased.
Well, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But he's a reliable narrator. Like when he says like this happened to Kitty, like that really happened.
Yeah.
So it is refreshing to get that. However, you can tell that where he does become unreliable is when he's like, I don't care about them at all. Okay, but I do kind of want to help them. But it's fine. You can tell that despite all of his experiences of like working for really terrible magicians and working for some good magicians, that he still does, like the longer he spends with someone, he actually does feel really empathetic towards them. Even Nathaniel, who is like truly like just a rascal.
And it helps that, frankly, we did get that first book with Nathaniel, where we get him through Bartimaeus' perspective, but also just seeing like where he came from down to the level of he was an orphan and then, you know, shunted into this situation and then, you know, had to develop this combative but still begrudging working relationship with Bartimaeus. And so you can feel more sympathy for Nathaniel even in this second book than you otherwise could if this was your only introduction to him.
Yeah.
I think also Bartimaeus is the only person who can possibly understand Nathaniel the best, because he did see him from when he was young, and also because they have that special or unique relationship. Bartimaeus knows Nathaniel's true name, and Nathaniel obviously has power over Bartimaeus. So they're actually more equal on the playing field compared to Nathaniel and his other servants.
And other magicians.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to this point when we reach the end of the book. Because there's a
really, really great moment at the end. Sorry. Getting too ahead of ourselves. Where were we? Okay, capturing Jacob. Take it away, Michael.
Take him away, Michael.
Bartimaeus, throughout a lot of this section, takes the form of a rock. It's like some sort of...
A large bird.
A large bird. Yeah.
There's no other way to explain a rock.
Not an actual rock. Victoria.
I was sitting here being like, when did he take on the form of a rock?
Bartimaeus takes the form of limestone.
Can you imagine being Jacob, like sitting in your room, like binding books, and then suddenly like a rock shoots through your window? And it just like sits there and is like, hello.
I have to take you away now. James like, how?
Bartimaeus is a rock, R-O-C, as in the bird. Oh my gosh, sorry. This is so good.
And let's see. He brings him to Nathaniel.
Mm-hmm.
So Nathaniel's got him. And it's around this time, I think, as well, that Bartimaeus and Nathaniel see Kitty basically booking it through London, being chased by the night police, by werewolves.
It's like Kitty goes to Mr.
Hopkins.
And Mr. Hopkins is like, oh, do you have the staff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Oh, by the way, I heard about your friend Jacob. Wonder where I got that information.
Yeah.
And so Nathaniel and Bartimaeus are trying to set a trap, but the night police set a trap in front of their trap.
Yeah.
And so that's when they see the chase.
Yeah.
And Kitty holds her own really well.
Yeah.
Kitty is now in the mindset of like, I don't care what happens to me. I just want to make sure Jacob's okay.
Yeah, it's this through line that begins to get established of like, I'm going to go back for Mr. Pennyfeather. I'm going to sacrifice myself for Jacob, which sets up her final sacrifice at the end of the book really, really well.
Yeah.
When like in any other scenario, you'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, because she even knows like, she can obviously tell that Mr. Hopkins is kind of setting her up. Like, she's like, I don't trust you.
She's
like,
so smart.
She's really smart.
She's
like,
so
she's the
genre
only
savvy.
one who like gets an inkling of like something's wrong at the crypt before everyone else does, because everyone else just like, is just like, whoa, treasure!
There's a false wall at the back of this tomb and 5 corpses.
Yeah.
Maybe we should leave. Oh, no,
but even
you're in the
she's
coffin.
like, okay, like, obviously, like, this was too good to be true. Like, we should have all known just before even coming here that, like, if someone shows up and is like, everything you want is in this tomb, you should just go. Don't worry, there's no traps or anything.
I'll open all the doors for you.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing you need to bypass security.
Yeah.
No one's ever tried this before.
And
so
all I
she-
want is a knick-knack for my shelf.
Yeah. So when she goes to talk to Mr. Hopkins after, she's just like, yeah, man, like, you obviously don't care that all my friends died. You just want your staff, even though you're pretending like it's just an afterthought. But she's like, I'm going to take the information you're giving me because I do want to save Jacob, but I'm never going to talk to you again.
Yeah.
So she goes to save Jacob, knowing that there's probably a trap of some sort set for her, knowing that her chances of survival are low. She does stock up on some silver weapons and like magical artifacts to like lob at the night police.
Has a whole action sequence.
Yeah, there's like a scene like she's on the roof of the building and the night police are like cornering her and she just like tucks her hair behind her ear and she like holds up her knife and she's like, I'm gonna die here. It's crazy. I was like, go Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome.
And then, charged by Nathaniel to make sure that Kitty survives so that he can get the staff from her, Bartimaeus rolls in and plucks her in his bird form and flies away, and then brings her to a separate location where he anticipates Nathaniel's return. And it's during this time that they're able to spend together that he does learn more about Kitty and develops a better understanding and esteem of her.
It feels like she reminds him of his old friend from Egypt.
Yeah,
who he likes to turn into. Like, he has a respect for her wit and her like conviction, which is really nice. And they spend a long time there, and they comment on that a lot because meanwhile Nathaniel's been arrested.
Yeah. They're like, it's been a while. When is he gonna show up? It's probably fine. And then it's like, nope, he's not. He got arrested by the night police.
He gets like dragged before. All these government officials.
Because they're like, we saw you helping that Kitty girl escape from the night police. And he's like, that's because they were going to kill her and then we would lose all of our information. And also there's a traitor in our midst. So I didn't want to like, I can't trust any of you. And
Top tier Nathaniel moment. He finally says the right things to get himself out of a scrape.
Yeah.
Although he is now being government surveillance tracked. And if he messes up, they'll blast him from orbit, I guess.
Yeah. So
Throw
they let
you in
him,
the Tower of London.
They let him go back to Kitty to go through his plan. And they're like, we'll send an army with you. And he's like, no, this is supposed to be a subtle matter. And so they're like, fine, we'll just send some drones after you. Real quick, when Bartimaeus and Kitty were talking, Bartimaeus is the one who mentions like, yeah, like, I'm not surprised that you have magic resistance because I've seen it happen. Over time, once the magicians just flood the land with magic, eventually the citizens who are not magicians will start developing a resistance to it. And that's just the cycle. And every magician thinks that won't happen to us this time around. And it inevitably does.
Wait, okay, let's do the cycle. Ready? So good times make strong magicians. Strong magicians make bad times. Bad times make strong commoners. Strong commoners make good times.
Hey, there it is.
There it is.
Because Kitty's like reflecting on like, oh, it feels like there's no hope for us as like the commoners to even like pull together a resistance that's like effective enough to like overthrow the magicians. And Bartimaeus is like, how long have you been doing this? You guys just need like 100 more years.
Yeah. Which also clarified a thing that had been sort of nagging at the back of my brain where I'm like, this resistance is really, really small.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be it's not really a resistance so much as like, and then I'm like, oh, this is the early stages.
Yeah, this is the early stages. Like Bartimaeus is saying like, wait 100, 150 years and then like everyone is going to have resistance.
And everyone's going to feel much better about fighting back.
Yeah. Magicians aren't going to be able to do anything about it. It's also great because Kitty gets to actually talk to a spirit for the first time because she is like, these spirits are demons because they attack us. And she doesn't realize that they're forced to. She just thinks like, like you're in league with the magicians. Like I can't trust you just as much as I can't trust them. And Bartimaeus has to explain to her like, we don't enjoy all of the things that we do, but we have no choice. And she's like, of course you have a choice. And he's like, no, like we literally, unfortunately don't have a choice. Like we will die in the eternal fire or whatever it is.
But that is an interesting, because he does kind of also have to reflect on his own position where he's like, because she's like, what kind of excuse is that? Like, you always have a choice. You're just prioritizing yourself over all, like, the rest of us.
That's true, yeah.
And he has to be like, every spirit, including myself, has existed in this paradigm for thousands of years. And we've all arrived at sort of the same conclusion. And we do look on ourselves more favorably than humans in general. We consider ourselves, more complex and more dignified. But it is kind of twisted that, like, when you get down to it, I am just kind of... And he had his whole experience with Honorius, where Honorius was like, I'm more free than any of you. I'm in the bones of a dead man. And Bartimaeus has to be like, he's kind of right, as horrifying as that is.
Yeah.
And so there's this... when they're talking, you get this sort of inkling of, like, all of the ways that the magicians, intentionally or not, try and divide the peoples that have a common enemy in them. They're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The commoners and the genie are talking.
You can sort of feel the setup for the third book happening, which is, I'm excited for.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit online where some people think that this book has the traditional, like, second book pitfalls, which is like, it's mostly set up for the third book and, like, it doesn't really stand as well on its own. But I disagree, actually. I think this book has a lot of merit to its own. I mean, I'm not saying everyone thinks this. This is, like, a couple comments I saw. So, but it did, like, I think I, like, prepared myself mentally a little bit to be like, okay, it's the second book. Like, I'm sort of reading it knowing that it's setting up the third book, but I just enjoyed this one so much.
It is really fun.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Let's wrap up the plot.
So,
yeah.
Nathaniel lies to Kitty and says, you give me the staff, you and Jacob will get a one-day head start to leave the country. And so they go, they retrieve the staff, and then Nathaniel's like, ha, I lied. And Kitty's like, yeah, of course you did. And so they're like, Nathaniel has a staff. He's just ecstatic. They walk outside, and they look to the left, and there's the golem walking down the street. They look to the right, and there's Honorius marching down the street, and they go, oh, no. Honorius has been tracking the staff. Bartimaeus dumped him in the Thames.
Yeah,
to try
and
to
they
get rid of
thought
him.
he died, but he caught onto an anchor
Yeah.
and managed to climb back up onto a barge.
And so Honorius is here for the staff and also to kill Kitty and also to kill...
Everyone,
He's here to kill
really,
everyone.
yeah.
The golem has been sent by some mysterious person to also, I guess, stop Nathaniel and, like, retrieve the staff.
Yeah.
And so these two different parties are working to try to get this thing. Nathaniel is like, now's my time. And he tries to charge up the staff and it, like, backfires and blasts him in the head and knocks him out.
Bartimaeus is like, he's not doing that. He has, like, a second where he's like, is he really going to do it? And then a page later, it backfires. He's like, oh, yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
It was giving me book one of Prydain Chronicles, Taran being like, I'm going to wield the sword of Durdwin to destroy the... Ah!
Yeah. And so Honorius faces the golem because he recognizes the golem from the Battle of Prague. And he gets furious. He's like, you again. And
my headcanon is that Honorius is the Ifrit that Bartimaeus encounters in the prologue.
Ooh.
It's not confirmed or anything, but that's my headcanon.
I like that headcanon.
Yeah. And so they set up this epic battle. And then, like, a couple of seconds in, Honorius just kind of gives up. And the golem disintegrates him. And Bartimaeus is like, maybe he found a way out. Maybe he was like, nah, I'm over this now.
Yeah.
We don't get confirmation because the golem is unstoppable. And so Bartimaeus is like, Kitty, you got to get out of here. The golem will crush Nathaniel and then I can run. Hooray! Everyone's happy except for Nathaniel. But he's dead, so who cares? But Kitty, in her sticking to her morals, is like, no, I'm not going to let someone just die.
Bartimaeus does kind of, like, lay it on a little thick where he's like, no, you should definitely run. You should definitely leave him to die. He would do the same for you. That magician, all magicians would absolutely run away. And you should run away right now. And she's like, ah.
And so, as Kitty's been doing to every demon she meets, she attempts to suplex the golem. And in doing so, because Bartimaeus told her, she reaches into the golem's mouth, grabs the parchment, and pulls it out. And the golem essentially deactivates temporarily, saving Nathaniel. And then Bartimaeus is like, okay, now you really got to get out of here. Kitty and Jacob flee. Nathaniel wakes up and is like, I did it! And Bartimaeus is like, you did not, you idiot. And Nathaniel's like, what happened? And Bartimaeus is like, Kitty saved you. Nathaniel's like, I'm not going to process this.
Yeah, he has, like, that moment of cognitive dissonance where he's like, why would she do that? I'm not thinking about it anymore.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Well, she's dead now.
Yeah, because Bartimaeus tells Nathaniel, like, yes, she saved you, but tragically, she and Jacob both perished.
Yeah. Bartimaeus
And-
is like one big lie for the whole book,
Yeah.
really. And then there's a little bit of lore about how golems, once they are disabled, they will return to their master while sort of disintegrating on the way. And so
Yeah.
there's a little procession through the streets of London where Nathaniel holding the staff of Gladstone and Bartimaeus and this disintegrated golem basically accrue this massive crowd behind them
Yeah.
as they march all the way into Parliament. And there's this little like scuffle where all the ministers are there like, is it looking at you? No, it's looking at you. Quick, arrest each other. And then it inevitably falls at the feet of Duval, the police chief, the werewolf.
Oh yeah, because he's a werewolf. That was like really like surprising at the very end where they're like, yeah, and he turned into a werewolf and escaped prison.
He is
For about 5 seconds.
No, he escaped eternally.
He gave the ground a real good hug.
Yeah.
Probably an accident.
I love that. He turned into a wolf and escaped his captors and jumped out the window. Oh, so he's free then. Well, he was 5 stories up. Ah.
Everything works out for Nathaniel. Everything's fine and
He
good
becomes
now.
the new head of internal affairs, the youngest minister ever.
He's
At, like-
14. It speaks to me about the state of London, the state
Yeah.
of the empire,
Yeah.
in which they are promoting 14-year-olds to heads of government. Like, something's wrong. They're running out of competent people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The prime minister is clearly very...
The
grown
turnaround
paranoid.
of magicians is going so fast that they don't have competent magicians who are powerful enough to hold seats of power, who are old enough to hold those seats of power. So they're like, I guess it goes to this 14-year-old because he's the next best option. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it really does speak to how much Parliament is disintegrating.
Yeah. And then we have
the
a chapter.
empire eats itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a chapter where John Mandrake picks his curtain patterns and decorates his new home.
Yes.
One of you guys had, like, there was a moment at the very end that was really interesting.
Yeah. So Bartimaeus, he's like doing all these tasks for Nathaniel, and he's just like, this is so stupid.
He keeps expecting to be dismissed.
Yeah. And he's like, Nathaniel has had no time to dismiss me, even though it's nearing the end of our 6-week term agreement. And so he basically like one day just like corners Nathaniel and he's like, let me go. It's time.
They're like in the middle of this currently unfurnished, like, I guess dining hall of some sort
Yeah.
that Nathaniel's trying to build out. Nathaniel's like looking out over the city and running a hand over the mantelwork over the fireplace and just kind of talking idly about all of his sort of post-mortem of the events of the book and all of the loose ends that he hasn't figured out. And he's just sort of like word vomiting all of this to Bartimaeus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he reflects, he's like, I know you don't think much of me, but I did like release those children that I promised to release. Like basically like the creator of the Golem was a Czech spy. His kids were
yeah.
arrested for being spies. And so the reason why he was doing it was because the person who hired him told him like, I'll return you to your children if you do this for me. But he did it knowing that creating the golem requires basically like blood sacrifice. So he knew he
Yeah.
was going to die creating these golems. But he was like, if there's even a chance that this gets my kids released, I'll do it. So Nathaniel promises him like, I'll release your children. And Bartimaeus keeps being like, so are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? And he's like, well, I did it. I was good on my word. And I think Nathaniel's like really struggling with like he's like the opposite of Kitty, right? Like
Yeah.
he had morals at the beginning and he still kind of has those, but more and more he's willing to like overlook them for personal gain, essentially. And so they have this moment where he's like, yeah, Bartimaeus, I let those kids go. And Bartimaeus is like, cool. Well, you got everything you wanted. And it's true, like Nathaniel got everything that he wanted from book 1 when he
Yeah.
envisioned his life. He's now basically there. Like aside from being like the prime minister, I guess.
Yeah.
He's like in parliament. He's got riches and he's got favor of the prime minister and he's accomplished all these things.
There's no one in charge of him.
There's no one in charge of him. He doesn't even need Jessica Whitwell anymore, who like basically like disowns him in a way. And he's just like, yeah. And Bartimaeus is like, well, you have everything you want except, friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's Bartimaeus' way of still kind of poking at him to be like, is there any part of you that understands everything that you've actually lost in this climb to power? But Nathaniel chooses not to think about it. And then he's just like, well, I'll just miss you now. And they have this parting moment where Bartimaeus says goodbye, and he calls him John Mandrake. And he's like, you notice what I did there? I didn't call you Nathaniel because you're not Nathaniel anymore. You're John Mandrake. And all Nathaniel says is like, you get the point now, because Nathaniel's bought into this idea of like the less people know of you personally, the stronger and like less likely you are to lose your power.
Yeah.
And Bartimaeus disappears, and he specifically says, I didn't have time to tell him he'd kind of missed the point. That hit me.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. I think I'm in a similar boat of Bartimaeus where I'm just like, I want Nathaniel to get it so bad, but he's not. And I don't think he will for some time.
It's not that he's not capable of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
He's not losing his humanity. He's shoving it into a closet and wallpapering over it.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, because he is so young, I do still see kind of how that's happened because he's been groomed his entire life to believe that this is all that matters in life.
He's running out of time.
Yeah.
Before he becomes just another tallow.
Yeah. Like, it's getting to the point where if he doesn't start actually thinking about what he believes and reconciling that cognitive dissonance, that he will just be set in his ways.
There are a number of times in this book where Bartimaeus will like make a little jab at him about how he is acting or looks more like Lovelace from the previous book.
Yeah.
And
He'll
Nathaniel
also
will
frequently
be
say,
"No."
like, the old Nathaniel might have done this, but current Nathaniel, in the years since I last saw him, he's become different.
Yeah. Again, it's so fascinating to read about a character whose character progression is to get worse while the characters around him get better. Like, Kitty gets better. Bartimaeus gets better. Nathaniel gets worse. And I'm so excited to see him either figure it out or watch his downfall.
Yeah.
I can think of a similar character arc in a more recent piece of media. Katra's character in the She-Ra series.
Oh, yeah.
Every season she gets a little bit more important and a little bit more sunken cost until it all goes belly up. As a question, I mean, I have my own answer, but there's a big part of that last chapter where a big deal is made of Bartimaeus being like, Nathaniel charged me to deal with this current issue with a threat in London, and I know we have that 6-week limit, but the threat is over and he's kept me on, and I'm just waiting for him to dismiss me, and I'm doing all these menial tasks. And Nathaniel waits till the very last moment to dismiss Bartimaeus. Why do you think that is?
I think he's lonely. I think Bartimaeus is the closest thing he has to a friend.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am, too. It's interesting in that scene where there's still so much antagonism there. And even then, who else is Nathaniel going to talk to about all of these plots that other magicians will use to undermine him if they know this information? He's got no one else.
Yeah. That's why he's word vomiting at the end. He's trying to get it all out.
Yeah. I think that's why the end of that chapter made me so sad. Not just because, like, Nathaniel, like, you got to pull it together, but just because it's like, by Bartimaeus leaving, it's almost like, he lost that chance to have that person there to poke and prod at him. Bartimaeus is snarky and sarcastic and like makes jabs at Nathaniel every chance he gets, but that's actually really good for Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good for him to have someone in his life who's like, you're being ridiculous. What is this outfit you're wearing? Cut your hair, dude. And Nathaniel hates it, obviously, but he hates it because there's a part of him that knows that Bartimaeus is right, but by dismissing Bartimaeus, I mean, it's like, I don't want Bartimaeus to like have to stick around for that. Like, it's also not Bartimaeus's responsibility necessarily to like help him like pull it together. But you feel like the absence of Bartimaeus as soon as he's gone, where you're just like, oh, there was so much left unsaid, so many different directions this relationship could have gone. But because you still have this unequal relationship of master and servant, you can't really breach that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's twisted in ways that it's like you can see Bartimaeus having that empathy and that as a very long-lived spirit, this care for this individual that he sees is just like, I mean, he is just a kid. And then at the same time, Nathaniel's utter lack of understanding and yet desperate need for a true connection that he can't bring himself to get past. And that, so you can have this weird dynamic where it is a master and a slave.
Yeah.
Like it's blurred because Bartimaeus does know his true name, which is an important part of that dynamic. And yet there's this weird thing where Nathaniel cannot get past his own prejudice to realize that he's got this one last icon of like humanity and goodness in the potential of this relationship he could have, or at least could have had, with Bartimaeus that he just can't get past. And it's like, oh, you got everything you wanted, but at what cost, my boy? I wonder how your story will conclude in book 3.
Ooh. We do get one last chapter with Kitty.
Yes.
We do.
So Kitty and Jacob run away and they take shelter with Jacob's family in like an underground room. And then they just kind of wait there for a few days. Like Kitty has a lot of injuries, so she's recovering. But they're also just like waiting it out to see like, are the police going to show up here? Is someone going to be looking for them? And then no one is looking for them. There's not even like anything in the news saying like 2 wanted kids on the loose or whatever. So they're like, okay, it seems like no one is looking for you, but it's definitely not safe for you to stay here, especially Jacob, because visually he does stand out. And so they decide, okay, let's fake some papers for you guys to get out of London and go to Europe, the main continent. Right as they're about to board the ferry, Kitty decides, I'm not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, you go. I wish you all the best. But I'm going to stay because I don't want to leave London where like all the information I want is here.
Yeah.
She wants to know more about spirits because her conversation with Bartimaeus was so interesting. She wants to know more about the true history of magical resistance and just the cycle of empire, as we spoke about. She's not going to find that in Europe. She needs to find it specifically in London, at least like for her current situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so she decides to stay, and Jacob presses her once more because he's like, why are you doing this? Like, just save yourself. Like, I'll see you in Europe in a week. You're going to give up. And she's like, we'll see. And she disappears into the crowd.
Yeah. She has this like very meta perspective now on history thanks to Bartimaeus.
Yeah.
She's doing that thing that characters do where like, we're going to break the wheel,
Mhm.
you know? We joke about the cycle of empire a lot. And I think we touched on this in our first episode too. But like the idea of like strong men and weak men and good times, you know, empires are built on the backs of the disenfranchised.
Yeah.
You know, it's power for the few, suffering for the many. And so like the idea of like good times and bad times and strong men and weak men, like that's not real.
It's an oversimplification that is hewing to a specific narrative about a specific like structure of a society.
Yeah. But the cycle that Kitty is specifically trying to break, the cycle of magicians taking power, the people rising up, and then the magicians taking power, it's not really a one-to-one because like there's magic
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's demons. But I'm just really fascinated how this book ends and like where it ends, I guess, like in its commentary about these structures and these systems and these cycles. Because in my mind, at least, this feels really big and I don't see how Kitty's going to pull it off.
Yeah. Like, I don't think Kitty is going to become sort of like the Katniss Everdeen of this scenario. Even like Katniss was not like the true mastermind behind the rebellion, but like, I don't think Kitty alone is going to be the one to topple everything. But I do think there is something to be said about she's the first person we get who she realizes like the key to breaking the cycle potentially is in understanding the spirits directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because previous commoner uprisings were more about eliminating magic. The magicians were terrible to us. We now have resistance, so we're just getting rid of it. But then once the magic sort of leaches out of society and people no longer have resistance, then it just repeats all over again because now magicians do have more abilities.
Yeah.
But it's all stemmed from like a lack of understanding of like the core of what magic is, which is like a relationship between a magician and a spirit, which so far has been very imbalanced because it's all about the magician's take and the spirits have no choice but to do whatever the magicians want them to. Kitty, for the first time, is realizing like, oh, actually, like the spirits have a lot going on in their world. They have like thoughts and feelings of their own, and I want to understand that, and maybe that will lead me to a better solution for this problem overall.
Yeah. Again, I don't know anything about the third book. Michael, I'm sure you're excited for us to learn, but
I'm excited.
I anticipate, like, based on your analysis, I anticipate some sort of like spirit revolution or something. Like, it's not like, yes, it's about like the common people versus the magicians, but this isn't a scenario where it's like, oh, and now people and spirits work together in harmony. No, that's not. They're not even supposed to be here. They don't want to be here. And so it's about like letting them go, like returning their agency to them, I guess, or helping them find their own agency. Because they are
I'm really
so
fascinated
powerful.
by, honestly, I don't even know how I want or expect the books to end. I think I'm just really curious to see how Jonathan Stroud has chosen to take the narrative in the third book.
Yeah.
I will be very interested to see what you think, or to hear what you think, because this is a podcast. The last thing I'll say is just a bit of trivia.
Ooh, trivia.
Which you may or may not know to the extent, but the golem, as an idea, as an entity, comes from Jewish folklore. There's a number of different ways that it's invoked, though the one that I know the most from reading a very good picture book of all things is a story about like the rabbi of Prague who creates a golem made of like river mud, I think, in order to like protect the local Jewish community there. And then afterward, there's sort of a bit about, I think, the golem, returning to the mud or something like that. But as a bit of folklore, it's very interesting because it's varied in the ways that it's incarnated. And even the term golem has taken root in all different kinds, I think, of fantasy formats.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like the golem in other. As far as I've done some like very light research on this, like a cursory Google. Take this with a grain of salt, but like I don't think there's anything quite like the golem in other mythologies. Like there are like obviously like automatons or constructed men or like these like elemental beasts or creatures or people, but like specifically like a guy creating something out of the earth and then it like becomes this big powerful thing that can do these like great acts, I guess. It's so specific that I think it's sort of like captivated our like fantasy, like our idea of fantasy. Like there's golems in D&D and there's golems in like superhero media now, and there's golems in Minecraft. I don't know, like like the idea of the golem, I think it's really interesting to me personally.
Yeah. Just from like the version of the tale I encountered, there was a certain question, even after the golem had finished its work protecting like the Jewish community of Prague. There's this extended section where there's sort of an open question about its purpose after it's done. And there's, I think maybe in other versions of the tale as well, there's this sort of question about the purpose of a created entity like that. Like how it feels about the resolution of its work. In this book, we don't have to worry about that. It is insentient mud with a crystal eye or whatever that the magician just pilots it with.
It does not think. But that same question could be applied to a demon.
I was going to say, like, I actually think that parallels really well with, I think, what Bartimaeus is wrestling with a little bit in this book, which is like, I just get summoned to do the tasks that my master tells me to do. And when I leave, I just pretend to wipe my hands of the whole thing. It wasn't my choice. I had no say in the matter. But you can tell that over the years, like, all of his experiences have clearly stuck with him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, what does he actually think about this particular encounter with Kitty, with Nathaniel, and how will that affect his actions in the third book?
Ooh. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Woohoo!
Yes, I'm so excited. We have to read the third book. We can't leave it here.
And we won't take 50 episodes to do it.
No.
We'll take 49.
49.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode about the Golem's Eye. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, please leave us a comment. Or you can let us know on Instagram at Nostalgia Club Podcast or email us at nostalgiaclubpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send us all your suggestions for other books or TV shows and movies that you'd like us to consider covering next. Please also leave us a rating, follow us, or subscribe on your podcast platform of choice because it really helps us out. And you can get notified when we post the next episode of the Bartimaeus Sequence.
Yeah.
Woo!
We also are under MouseKnight Studios if you want to check out one of our other shows, which is called Ghost Inspectors, and hopefully more shows to come soon. Maybe in 57 episodes.
Don't worry, in the words of Bartimaeus, you just need another 100 years.
Yeah, thanks, Bartimaeus. And we also have a Ko-fi for donations if you would like to support us financially. We really appreciate it. And until next time.
Let's all say it together.
Strong
men
Strong men
good
good
times.
Make good times.
Good
times
make
weak
strong
men.
magicians. Make big clown.
Make big clown.
No, that's an old reference.
Hey, it's good.
It's a good reference.
I'm proud of that one.
Strong shelf. Make big stack of books. Big stack of books. Make lots of pressure on me to read those books.
Lots of pressure to read makes weak shelf because you get rid of all the books.
Because you don't read the books.
You don't read the books.
And the shelf gets weighed down and weaker.
This metaphor does not work.
Strong shelf makes lots of books.
Yes.
Lots of books makes anxious person. Anxious person buys more books. More books makes weak shelf. Weak shelf crushes person. It's not a cycle. It's a warning.
It's a straight line.